Hey,
I'm Amanda Kievit.
and I'm Peggy Allen. And
You're watching the Junction Fiber Mill Millcast.
Number 27.
27. We're recording on the 15th of May, 2023.
Have we revealed that before?
No, but I feel like it's useful information.
Okay, sure.
We talk about timely things here.
Yeah. And spring is coming in.
Yes, it is like the leaves have finally popped.
They haven't popped where I am.
Really?
Nope, they're there. They haven't done that.
I feel like your house is always a little bit ahead of our house.
Oh yeah, no, they're not yet.
I looked at the sun coming through our front-facing window last night as sunset was happening, and we have this giant. I don't know if I think it's called a Norway maple, but anyways, it's a maple with red leaves.
Yeah.
And in the springtime, first of all, the blossoms are like this light pink, and then when the leaves finally pop, they're still young enough that they're pretty translucent. So the sun comes through it and it just illuminates. Nice. It looks like this fiery red out in front. It's beautiful. Wow. Yeah, but it's gorgeous out today.
It's spectacular, and as you guys all know, we were at the New Hampshire Sheep and Wool Festival. So driving south towards it, there, getting greener and greener, more things blooming. Yeah. It was a pretty drive down.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what our weekend was about. It was the New Hampshire Sheep, well, mostly my weekend.
I was going to say, it was pretty much all Peg. I came as what I call a civilian to this event.
Civilian, yeah.
Yeah. So, but Peg was leading the charge for the mill with our booth there. And
we had a great location. And boy, thank you guys for coming out. It was amazing. Saturday morning, it was really kind of humbling. I think I've said this before, to have people come up and they're watching the Millcast and then they, meet you in person, and it's really sweet. And Jane, thank you for the water. I thought you were just bringing me a bag of water, and she said, I've got you some water, and some of it's frozen. How thoughtful was that?
That's so nice.
Unbelievable. But yeah. I just thought it was, your basic Poland spring water. But no. It was spin drift.
That was a Freudian slip if I've heard.
Spin drift and a couple of others that I didn't know. And Jane, that was just incredibly thoughtful.
That's really nice.
Thank you very, very much. And just very fun to meet so many people who have been following us on the Millcast.
Yeah, we love to hear that. So if you're at an event and you see us, definitely come up and mention that.
There was one woman, she goes, my husband's into it now. When he hears your voices in the other room, he kind of comes in and watches along. I'm like going, really?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was.
Who knew?
Yeah. But it was a great festival.
And this was the second year. How many years have you been doing it?
This was my second year.
Okay, you didn't do it for Savage Heart Farm prior to this.
Nope,
okay.
I didn't. And we were in a great, relatively new barn, high ceilings, and last year was brutally hot. And I thought because the weather forecast, it was going to be the same where the barn inside was going to get really hot. It was actually just fine.
Well, it was gusty.
Yeah, the wind was howling, no question. But that didn't impact us because they kept the big overhead doors closed.
And I thought, due to the name of it, that there were going to be. I didn't notice that they didn't have any sheep in the barn that you were in.
No, it's two barns with a breezeway in between.
Yeah, because it was Sheep Barn 1, Sheep Barn 2 on the festival map, but only Sheep Barn 2 had a bunch of sheep.
Right, and they had some real
footage of.
Yeah, they had some real cutie pies.
Yeah.
No, our section did not have any animals in it. Just lots of yarn.
Yeah.
There was one little boy who was walking around, yarn, 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 yarn. He couldn't have been 4. It was like, yep, you got that right. It's yarn.
You got to branch out maybe into roving, or there were soaps.
His dad had him on a tether. It was
I can understand.
Well,
an event like that, I can totally understand.
So lots of people came by. I want to show you a couple of quick pictures. There's this one woman, and there was a number of people who are colorful hair, but
actually, you know what? My mom mentioned that because my mom's really deep down desire is to have turquoise mermaid hair. And
really?
Yes. She really wants to dye her hair some bright color. And I've been telling her you should do it. She works in a fairly conservative industry. She's on the cusp of retiring. Okay. So I think that might give her some some freedom. Okay. But she came to the event and she was that was her main thing that she took away. She's like, I've never seen so many people with colorful hair. And I was like, you know what? These are the crafty, like
That's right.
DIY
Yep,
crowd
yep.
who also, I feel like there is a little bit of a countercultural edge to knitting, especially today. Like a lot of people making their own sweaters when you really don't have to.
I
Why?
also have a theory, though, that women of my age-ish who are doing it, this is gonna, you'll have to let me know if you agree with this, especially if you're someone out there that's of my age and putting bright color in your hair. You get to a certain age where people like, they see right through you. Oh, it's another gray-haired lady.
Interesting.
And you punch a little color in there and you get a double
F
take.
it. Dye your hair purple.
That's right. So this one woman came in and she had literally day glow hair, and she said, "Yeah, and it glows in the dark." I said, "Come on, that's." And so she showed me a picture
And
of
her
it.
glasses too.
Yes, it was fabulous.
That
It
is
was fabulous.
really, really cool.
I got to be honest with you. I've never had the desire to put bright color in my hair. I don't know.
Yeah, and you've shifted hair color dramatically since we met.
Oh well, yes. After the Russian incident, I couldn't dye my hair.
Yeah, and so you've never thought of it now that you're
No,
more of a gray.
No, and my kids had always been saying, "Mom, why are you dyeing your hair? You don't need to." And my husband too. Todd was like, "I don't know what you're dyeing your hair for," and I was like, "I guess not you."
Yeah.
No, I'm very happy with the shorter hair and my coloring.
Yeah.
So the other photo I wanted to show you is, and there's lots of cute little lamb and sheep things, but these are these little wool earrings that look like sheep. I thought those were really cute.
Yeah.
Lots of interesting things. Oh, and then there's I guess someone was teaching a spinning class, and she was wearing these silly sheep ears, and then she started.
A lot of festivals. I'm not sure who started that.
I don't know. It's a headband with, a little bit of flock.
It's
and,
like Teeswater, fleece or something.
Right,
like,
the coils, the curls, and then the ears.
Yeah.
Very cute. There were a number of those folks who came by.
Yeah.
It's fun people watching.
It is definitely, and if you can, stroll around, you didn't get much of a chance because you were sort of holding down the booth all on your own, but you see a lot of interesting stuff happening. There was, right next to us, just a couple booths over was Good Karma Farm.
Yeah.
And they're, cranking out the socks on the knitting machine.
Yeah, the grants. They and he's very good at that. He's very into it.
He's really passionate about it.
He's in
Maine.
Yeah, Bridgeton, Maine. They're fabulous folks, and we are going to go visit them sometime because they have a lot of our same equipment, and he really wants to show us some things he thinks would make a big difference. And you know what? I think he's right.
Yeah,
so,
I'm sure.
Road trip soon.
Absolutely, and I'll bring him up again later in the conversation.
Oh, okay. All right. So thank you all for coming through, and it was a great festival. Saturday was wacky. Sunday was mellow.
Yep.
But that's okay.
Yeah, so Saturday I came down the highway with my mom and daughter, and we left Cody at home. Get this is the first night that Cody's been away from Maeve since she's been born.
I did not know that.
You didn't know that.
No.
I had like 3 nights off when he went home to the Midwest
right.
to visit his parents with her. And so, I've been away from her. Fine. it's great. But he was a little nervous about it, actually.
Oh dear.
Yeah, so he had some time to kind of get a lot of stuff done around the house, and we took a little ladies weekend as suggested on the previous Millcast. You saw it live.
Yeah.
My mom and I ended up staying overnight in Portsmouth. But first, I'll show you a little bit of the footage that I got sort of walking around. My mom had Maeve in the stroller, and I was with the camera, and I stopped at a few booths and got them to introduce themselves. So here are some of our friends. Here I am at the New Hampshire Sheep and Wool Festival. It is a beautiful, hot, sunny day out, and I'm here with my daughter and my mom enjoying the day.
Hey, it's Paula from the Dancing Sheep Farm here at the New Hampshire Sheep and Wool Festival. Selling yarn, selling pillowcases, portraits of our sheep, socks by my friend Betty.
How's it going?
It's going pretty good. A lot of people here having a really good time.
Hi, my name is Kate, and I am here for Green Mountain Spinnery. We're a worker-owned cooperative that's based out of Putney, Vermont. Hello.
couple of our Romneys, and a bunch of yarn from our flock, and we're having a wonderful time at the festival.
We got to have the booth behind us,
Yes.
right? We got to have the booth behind us. Okay, so coming a little more than halfway through on Saturday at the New Hampshire Sheep and Wool. And what can I say? The internet has been not always on our side, but we're making it. We're making it. Met a lot of great people. Very clever.
I put the hood on it, and I made it a little wider because I'm a little
Yeah,
wider.
it's beautiful.
I'm Jen Messier. When I come to the Sheep and Wool, I put half of my money in my wallet to spend and the other half I hide. So when I've spent half my money, I know where I've reached in my shopping expedition for the day. So that's my tip.
I love it. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, so my mom had never been to a sheep and wool festival before. So this was new to her, and honestly, she's not really in the sheep and wool world at all.
The fiber world is not her seed.
No, so she had a lot of questions. I couldn't adequately explain to her why some sheep have horns and some don't. Maybe you know. I told her they're not cutting them off.
No.
But it feels like it.
No,
like
they
even
have
with ours,
they have the
they're polled.
right. But I think it's that a breed gets developed and then it sort of gets worked out in the genes. But that's the best I can do. But I can't say. And the other thing I don't understand is like with Jacobs, some have 2 horns, some have 4 horns.
Yeah, it's funky.
Yeah.
So we walked around the sheep barn. She really liked that, and
Yeah.
Maeve the whole time was going, ooh, pointing at every
And
little
there
thing.
were some cute ones.
Yeah, and so I didn't realize think about this, but this sheep and wool festival happening in the springtime, you get some really cute little lambs.
Right,
So
yeah.
while there is, I was explaining to her, there's a huge variation in the size of a sheep. Like you look at like the Great Bay Wool Works, they've got some giant Romney that
Right.
are just like amazing fiber,
Right.
and they're huge. And then we, the tiny little like Shetlands and
Right.
yeah, even within a Romney, there's just like a lot.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. We went and saw the sheepdog demonstration, and my mom thought that was really cool, especially to tell this funny story. So the dogs, like the guy brought 3 dogs.
Okay.
And the 2 that were older were a little bit better behaved than the one that was new. She said he kind of brought on purpose to demonstrate how crazy border collies are.
Right. What a not fully trained one does.
Exactly. But it was pretty warm out in the sun, in the direct sunlight. So what would happen was the dogs would run around, and then there was like a watering dish about this big, and one of the dogs would get into it and curl up into the watering dish.
Oh, you're kidding.
Right next to the audience.
Oh,
and
all right.
so
You can't, start throwing pennies.
yeah, and so the audience is laughing, and the guy
my
comes
gosh.
up and sort of jokingly is like, "Oh, you think that's funny? Which ones have you laughed?" And then the people were like, "Oh, is this funny?"
geez.
And the guy pulls down the electro netting just a hair, gives the dog the command. Dog jumps up like an acrobat over the fence and shakes on command right where he told them to, getting them very, very wet.
That's good.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we had some fair food. We ate the gyros and made.
I had the Euro too.
It was good.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't your lamb, but it was good.
Yeah.
And then Maeve had an arepa, the little fried corn.
How was that?
It was
that was
pretty
right
good.
next. Was that
Sweet
good?
corn with cheese.
With-
I mean,
with
it was
the
perfect for
mozzarella.
her. Yeah.
Yeah, I
for
was
her.
torn between that or the Euros. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Oh.
And then other than that, we just sort of did a loop around, saw what other, at this point, Maeve has been to almost as many fiber festivals as I have. And so she loves it, and we see the old favorites there. And so it was good.
As soon as she's tall enough to get up to reach the square, we're going to put her to work. And
Exactly. I was talking about that same thing with my mom. It was like, what do you think? Like 6 or 10? Like how old till she can handle the money?
Yeah.
But then we got on the road and we went down to Portsmouth. We stayed over for the night. It was great. It was a pretty quick trip, but we got a hotel right downtown. And so we just did a lot of like walking around the historic downtown. We saw
it's a really
the
sweet,
old houses.
Yes, sweet town city.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely, you could tell it was the Boston crowd. There's a lot of like fancy looking folks out there strolling around, and you know, very compared to around here, folks. It was a lot more like people were dressed up to go out. But we went to this restaurant like right on the water. It was again horribly windy, so we sort of sat outside, and they had the plastic covering one side, and the wind, it was like a tunnel, just flew right through there. But
did you get some good seafood?
Yes. So my mom really likes lobster rolls. So that was kind of my plan to find a lobster roll. So we had lobster rolls at this place, but she had, I thought at the time, a pretty brilliant idea that we were going to order Maeve some mac and cheese. And she's like, have you ever had lobster mac and cheese? So my mom thought, we'll get lobster mac and cheese and feed Maeve the mac and cheese and then take the rest for ourselves or for leftovers. Maeve ate a solid third of like an adult size lobster mac and cheese. And then the reason I say it was a good idea at the time is her stomach was not so happy in the next morning. But she was just piling it in her mouth and putting the little noodles on her finger.
Oh, cute.
It was really cute.
Wow.
So yeah, it was great. And you know, we woke up there. It was Mother's Day. We had a nice brunch, and it was a lovely time. And then we made our way back.
Yeah, I stayed at a place. I found a VRBO Airbnb not far. It's in, I think, Northwood is the 10 minutes from the fairground, and it's this little studio cottage was right on this small small lake, and and Saturday there had been a nice breeze, so there weren't any mosquitoes, and I was just sitting there, just resting for a moment.
You
and
were
then
exhausted.
All of a sudden, there was these 2 geese, and I'm like going, oh, nice geese. And then I'm like, wait a second. 3 little chicks, I swear they must have been born that morning. Little fuzzballs pedaling right along trying to keep up. It was so sweet.
That's so cute.
Yeah, it was a nice little magical moment.
What a nice relaxing way. Yeah. I mean, after a solid day like at a Fiber Festival, that's exhausting work.
Yeah, yeah. Baby chicks and a cocktail. It was a...
Good, I'm glad you got a cocktail.
Oy, yeah. Anyway, it was all good. So that's the New Hampshire Sheep and Wool Festival. I do think next year, if we can, we're going to try and get a wider booth.
Yeah, where our inventory is sort of outgrowing the single booth space. So yeah,
it's interesting. It takes a while to get into these festivals, and then you're trying to figure out how do you get a good location, and then you're realizing, what kind of booth, and of course everybody sets their booths up differently, so you're going, is there a better method? But
but the lights have been a really hot ticket.
But not hot. I switched.
They were literally hot.
We were like Chick McFries getting baked under the lights at the last one.
It's not the friendliest for your customers coming in their like hand knit sweaters. They're already hot because they're inside.
Yeah, and you got these. So I switched them all the bulbs out for LED with no heat. But they provided the light on the fiber, which on the yarn, and it doesn't take that much time to set it up, and it makes
a big difference because when you're in a literal barn, the lighting is not often on the minds of the people designing these things.
And you don't have any control over it. Yep. Like you don't know from festival to festival what your light situation is going to be. So that's worked out well.
Yeah, so now we're back in the mill today, and we, as always, had a busy week last week.
We sure did. We had some really fun custom processing going on. This one, we do this every time. If only you could feel this.
Yeah.
This is a Shetland, oh so soft, 2-ply Shetland, super dark. I mean,
it's really dark, and it's like a worsted weight, but I feel like we spun this like even pretty, light, like as far as yards per pound, but it just had so much fluff to it.
Yeah, it fluffed up.
That this will make an incredibly warm sweater.
Yeah.
Super cozy stuff.
Really soft though, so yummy.
Yeah, so that we're excited to get back to its owner.
Yeah, and then the next one is this is a Romney, and there was a lot of fleece. This is from one animal, Felice.
Felice. Get that, folks.
Yeah, Felice. So we have 2 different orders. Each one is not just breed specific, Romney, but also the name of the actual animal. And this is lovely. It's got a little shine to it. It's nice.
Yeah, it's quite. I feel like it's got quite a bit of shine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and nice. With you said this was Romney.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Romney, I feel like is sort of middle of the road with crimp, but because of that, I think a lot of the VM just sort of rolls off.
Right.
So you ends up with a nice white yarn.
Yeah. And our last one, fun. We've shown you this before. We actually did it once. This is Jacob. Jacob are those little guys that they're white with big black splotches, and these folks separated the dark from the light. And what was really interesting is the dark wasn't as dark as I've seen. Now, some are as dark as that Shetland, but this is a little more muted, and so the result is more of a muted marl, and I just think it's so...
Yeah, it's like a brown gray with a, like sort of like a really light gray.
Yeah, I think this is going to be gorgeous.
Yeah, and also if you dyed over that would be super fun too.
Yeah, you're right. It would really showcase, because it's not super dark.
I'm excited for them to get this back, because I remember this customer came in and didn't quite know what they wanted to do with their yarn, and saw our Jacob twist and was like, I don't think they've ever brought fleece to a mill before. They sort of happened upon this Jacob fleece and they were determined to do something with it, and so they sort of went for it with this one. And so I'm really excited for them to get it back. I think that they're gonna love it, and it'll be really cool to knit up. And then in Junction Fiber Mill yarn world, we tried yet again to replicate one of our very first colors, which was Berry Jam. And we just, every time we make it, it is so far off that we end up like renaming the finished result.
I'll tell you, the only thing that's off is that the let's call it the Aztec gold, the kind of yellowy. It's too yellow. It's not what when we first started dyeing, and we've probably shared this with you, we would make up a recipe, but then not really follow the dang recipe, and then
you'd end up with like half a bottle of dye left over. But you're sort of going with, it was more important to make a beautiful color than to like follow a recipe that we were, we just sort of made it up, and we're like, we think this will look fine.
But then you want to do it again, and you're like going, and then it's sort of like, I can't read Amanda's writing, or Peggy, I'm not sure you actually wrote what you did, which is entirely possible. And so with this Berry Jam we really liked, but for goodness sakes, we have been unable to really nail it.
And we keep hearing from our customers. I think we saw one last week that came in, so I'm like, what is this? I was like, I think that's Berry Jam. We're sorry, we've got something kind of next to it.
We're getting close. I think the only challenge is that we either eliminate the gold altogether. It was more brown, which I don't know why we'd call it Berry Jam if it had a brown in it, but
I mean, I feel like it also was maybe a little bit blue. Like this is pinker. The other one was maybe a little bit more, had more like blues in it. But anyways, so we may or may not call this one Berry Jam. If you have a suggestion of a name that we could call this, and we could replicate this color if people like it.
Yeah, well, no question.
We took good notes this time around, but
we're getting it
send us your
out.
name if you've got one.
Yeah.
Great.
So and then we've got lots coming up. We're working on a big Cotswold order that's on the spinner, ready to go. Yeah,
and Cotswold is one of those breeds that we end up having to add a little bit of crimpy wool to it, just because Cotswold, if you look at that fleece, it is like it's like a wavy hair. And it is really lustrous and beautiful. But we added a little bit of crimpy stuff. It made it all the way through our equipment, but it's like 80 pounds, so that's going to take us.
That'll take a little bit of time.
Yeah, a little bit of time. And we also had this exciting thing happen, which is our dust collector is fixed thanks to Peggy's legwork. Tell them the story.
Well, the dust collector, we'd been always calling it a vacuum because it's sucking the fibers before it gets on the spinner, before it gets onto the bobbin, and the motor just completely died. And I went online to try to replace it. Good news is, yes, you can replace it. Bad news, it won't be available till July. Another version of it wouldn't be till August. And our very favorite electricians came over to take a look at it, and these two guys disconnected the motor. And I thought, well, I can at least try and see if I can get the motor fixed. And the electricians had introduced me to a guy in White River Junction.
You gotta have a guy. And this is not, folks, like it has to be a male person. It's just a guy. A guy. To fix your stuff.
And I got the motor into the back of the truck, and I drove over there, and David has been repairing motors for a very, very long time. You walk into his workshop, and you are in the 1950s, and it's different. And I got the motor into him, and I said, do you think, do you have any sense of whether or not you can fix it? And he basically said, well, I don't know till I try to fix it. I was like, okay.
So you hold your hands and back
all right,
away
left him
slowly.
my number. I stopped in a couple of days later, and he said he needed to he had ordered a part. It wasn't in, and I kind of got the drift of, I'll call you, all right? So I just stepped away, and then I was thinking, what's going to be our plan B? Well, we found a solution temporary one with the
We
vacuum.
shared that with you last week.
Yeah.
That was the duct tape shop vac
Yeah.
solution, which worked fabulously,
It
but
worked
was
perfectly
very loud and made us always feel like someone was just vacuuming all the time. It's kind
Right.
of driving us all nuts.
And then this guy David called and he said, "Yeah, it's ready." And I went over and brought it back, and no problem. We got it hooked up. And
Yep,
we
our
were back.
electrician.
Yeah,
who
two
we
little
love.
fuses had blown, which were
Yep.
a 20-second fix, and the motor's back and going. And $70 to fix the motor. And I'm telling you, major parts had fried. Nobody does anything for $70.
Well, and I wonder who's even giving this guy business, because I think a lot of people would just say, oh, it's done, I'm going to buy a new one, versus trying to get it repaired.
He had snow blowers in there.
That's
He
great.
had push lawn mowers, anything with, it's a specialty to fix motors. And you're
Well,
right. I think a lot of people just go, gotta go
Well,
buy a new one.
especially with things, being mostly like computerized, I think everyone just assumes you can't fix it,
That's-
or
yeah.
only the distributor or the manufacturer can fix it, and
Right.
that's manufactured in China.
Right.
No dice. But
Yeah.
what a good asset to have someone locally
Incredible.
that can
Yeah.
fix these sorts of things.
Yeah,
So
it was a
feeling thankful.
feeling very lucky that I knew about David and that he was in fact able to fix it. So,
Yes.
yeah, that was good.
And I think it's
Do you have a sweater you want to show us?
as far as what I'm knitting.
No, the photo.
Oh yes, we had a visitor last week. This woman Agnes came by.
Yeah.
We processed her Jacob wool into roving earlier this year, but she also bought some of our Making Tracks yarn when she was here. So she brought back and went ta-da!
Yeah.
And I thought it looked great. She had our Pebbles colorway, so you're seeing a photo now, and it's completely made up. It's called the Cozy Classic Raglan by Jessie Maid. I'll
Wow.
link it to in the show notes to the Ravelry. But I thought it looked really lovely. She just
Yeah.
was 100% making tracks, so you can see the gradient going,
Yeah.
and looked great on her.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Very nice. It is really fun to see what you guys are knitting with the Mills yarn.
Yes.
So
keep it coming.
yeah, we
please.
keep begging more pictures, please.
Yeah, you can always email them to us, or stop by if you
Yeah.
are coming through the neighborhood. And
Yeah.
speaking of knits,
Yeah.
I've blocked
Oh.
my vest from last week or the week before, so I don't know if it even looks any different. I'll stand up and show you, but this is the gosh, what is it? The
Petite knit
Stockholm slip.
Stockholm slipover. I think it looks fabulous.
Yeah, so I blocked it. It is really nice to have a light sort of pullover for this time of year.
It's perfect. It's
Thank
absolutely
you.
perfect.
Thank you. I knit it with my my sheep named Brownies yarn that we processed here.
I gotta give it a feel. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really lovely. I did not bring because I am almost done, and I brought my knitting with me to the New Hampshire Sheep and Wool.
And when you
thinking,
do that, you'll never have time to knit. That's
well,
like,
I thought in the evenings, I would just
Yeah.
all I got to do is the cast off. I was so whooped. I was like, I can't even think about
Yeah.
picking up the needles. So I will have it ready for the next one.
Well, I brought my sweater that it really hasn't changed that much since the last time. I was hoping. I also brought it with to Portsmouth, and after my daughter was just she was freaking out all night, and how do you share a hotel room with a baby? I forget that it's dark because they need it dark, so you can't do anything after their bedtime.
Yeah, that's right. That's
So
right.
anyways, I didn't end up getting much knitting done, but I'm at the ribbing on the
you're
bottom.
at the ribbing.
Yeah.
Excellent. You are really close.
So, I mean, it's a small sweater, but
Yeah,
anyways, this is the festival sweater by, again, Petite Knit, and I think at the bottom I'm going to do a tubular bind off.
Excellent.
Because
Yeah.
that should be nice and spongy, and we were just talking about that. So in order to do that, I'll get down to the length, basically, that I want it to be, minus, a tiny bit.
Yep.
And then I will just knit the knits and slip the purls on
Right.
one round, and then I'll knit the purls and slip the knits on the next round.
Okay.
And then I'll do that the Italian bind off
Okay,
with it.
okay.
And I believe that's how it works to make a little tube at the end.
Right.
So
Cool.
that'll be at least have the body done by next week, and
Yeah.
then maybe I'll have started on the sleeves. I really don't want to do them.
I hear you. Now, I don't know if you saw it in somebody's comments. Have you seen the Addy needles?
No.
They'd be perfect for sleeves. They're shaped like this,
Oh.
and you
How
just
does that work?
and so you're knitting like this, so they're great for sleeves. I didn't end up buying any, but
So it's two L-shaped.
yeah,
like
they're
double
kind
pointed
of,
needles.
yeah, like imagine my thumb went out a
Huh.
little farther.
Maybe I'll
Yeah,
head over
like-
to Scratch
like that,
and see
kinda
if
like
they have
that.
them. Do you know if
Yeah.
Scratch has them?
Don't know. You have to
Yeah,
check.
go check.
Um,
Our local.
But this person swore that's the way to do sleeves, and I
Okay.
thought, oh, that would be
It's-
especially for a child's sleeve.
It's less about It's just I don't like these bobbles.
Right.
Maybe I would try this again with a different yarn, but this, for some reason, I think it's because it's like a 2-ply with it being like kind of a farm yarn. It's just I keep splitting. You know, it's tough to get all of the yarn onto the needle when I have to like knit 3 through the back loop together. Yeah. And I loved that tip that someone shared months and months ago, because this was a project I set down and picked back up. But the tip was when I was doing those bobbles to switch to whatever my inactive needle was, switch to a much, much smaller size. I guess that would be my left hand.
So that you could easily get in on them.
So yeah, I think I'm doing this on 6 or 7s. And the bobble, like the inactive needle, the left needle, I put size 2 on. I think they suggested to go down like 2 sizes, and I disregarded that.
If something's working, overdo it.
Yeah, so I can actually fit that size 6 in and really try to scoop it, but it's
makes sense.
It's annoying.
Makes sense.
But we've got a few things coming up this weekend that we wanted to make sure you were aware of on Saturday.
Right, you're gonna have fun.
I've got a back-to-back weekend, and bless his heart, it's Cody's birthday, and he's coming along for the ride on all of this. But on Saturday, we are all, me, Cody, and Maeve, going to Sanborn Mills Farm, I think Sanborn Mills Farm, for the Northern New England Fibershed Roundtable, which should be very interesting. It's sort of an event to, like a little conference, to talk about our Fibershed, and I'm going to be on a panel with other mill owners and operators.
Very cool.
Including, like I mentioned, Good Karma
Yeah, Good
Farm.
Karma will be there.
Yep. So be represented. There'll be Sally's Fen Fiber.
Yep.
Good Karma, Green Mountain Spinnery, and me. And then there's going to be a whole lot of other panels and discussions.
That'll be so cool, and I can't wait to hear about the property. It just sounds...
Yeah, I've never been, and it's an old mill, and it's been, sort of revitalized with...
Lovingly renovated to the nines.
Yeah, I think there's some serious money invested into that place.
That's going to be very cool. Take pictures.
And then we're going to drive down to Boston, spend the night there for Cody's birthday, which should be fun, and then I'll be meeting Peg.
Yep, we'll be loading in early Sunday morning for at the Boston Public Market, which is kind of a block over from Faneuil Hall.
Right
really
downtown.
Neat, right downtown. A very neat space, and it's kind of bringing back. We had done this. What was it? March that we had.
I think it was like even early February.
End of February. It was after Vogue Knitting Live, right? Oh, good God. Anyway, it went so well that Tammy White of Wing and a Prayer and Amanda from Taproot said, "Hey, it worked so well. Let's do it again." And so
it's the
getting the band back together.
Yeah, New England Fiber Festival, the spring edition.
Spring edition.
So that is going to be a great one. We had a fabulous time there this winter. So we'd love
crowds.
to see you come out.
come on down.
It's a really good bang for your buck, especially if you're in that area, in the Boston area. One person last time told me they took the train from Portland, Maine. I didn't realize that was like a thing you can do.
Yeah, that's right.
But what a fun thing. So they knit all the way there, got off, went to the festival.
And some of the vendors are going to be actually outside as well because the weather is nice. So the whole thing is going to have a great vibe.
And then you're like steps away from like cannoli and like all of
some of the regular vendors are going to be there selling their food and great coffee and
make a day of it. It's going to be really fun. Yeah. We're going to both be there at the booth. It'll be great. And the other fun thing to mark your calendars for, still a few weeks out, is our next open house.
We are turning up the dial.
Yes, we are. We have booked my husband's band, Still Hill, to play, and they are good, even though I have to say that. They are actually good.
They're very, very good.
They'll play sort of Americana, bluegrassy folk music, and we're going to have them right in the mill. Hopefully it'll be nice out. We can open up the windows and the door, and we'll be selling yarn.
June 2nd. It's a Friday. 4 to 6. 4 to 6. Mark your calendars and come on up. It's hopefully we'll get the kind of weather we had this weekend, and it'll be a lot of fun.
It will.
A lot of fun.
Well, thank you so much for watching.
Yeah, thanks.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.